So this step will set the yoke timing. What you do is get my favorite gauge, place it on the number 1 pin spot. Continue cranking the table forward in spotting and stop when the head pin is on the gauge. If everything else is right, this will put all the pins about 5/16 of an inch off of the pin deck. Now you can set the timing of the yoke. The timing of the yoke is very important. This determines when the yoke starts to pull back during spotting. Ideally, you want this set so that as the pins touch the deck, the yoke starts to move back in a nice fluid motion. If it's too early, the pins can be pulled back before they even touch the deck. If it's too late, the pins can wobble, fall over, or even get pushed forward a spot. So to set this, you come over here to the table yoke leg again, and you look at the stop bolt that you adjusted earlier. You want about a 1/16 of an inch gap between the head of the bolt and the stop on the table, okay? As the table is running, this will time it pretty much perfectly. If this is resting on the stop, you need to make the spot rod shorter until you get this gap. If it's too far away, you need to make it longer until you get this gap. You might have to play around with this adjustment a little bit later after you run it a few times, but ideally this is a good place to start. Once you have that done and you have everything locked down, you can move on to the next step. So this is the point at which you adjust all the spotting cups to place the pins on spot. The spotting cups have 2 adjustments, left and right, and forward and back. To center the pin on spot sideways, loosen the top 2 or all 4 of the bolts on the cap for the spotting cup and slide the cup left or right until it's centered on the spot, and then tighten them down. If the pin is too far forward, you need to tilt the cup forward to bring it back. To do that, loosen the top, tighten the bottom. If the pin is too far back, you need to tilt the cup back to bring it forward. Loosen the bottom, tighten the top. Do all 10 cups. Once all 10 cups are done, you can move on to the next step. If you had to change the table height, position, or level, you must go back and before you run this and make sure that the respot rod adjustment is correct. To do that, put the table at home or 355, partially close the respot cells until the center point of the shifter cam is directly across from the finger link here. What you want is about that much clearance. That's probably about 1/8 of an inch. If it's too far away, you need to make the respot rod longer. If it's too far away, you may not have enough drive to close or open the cells. If it's touching here, you need to make the respot rod shorter. If it's touching here, it may not shift or flip when the table goes up to go back down and open the cells. So once that is set, you can do the next step. So at this point, you could probably run the table and see how it spots and respot pins. But if your machine height is a little bit too low, like this one, or the positioning is a little off, there's one very important thing you need to check first. So with 10 pins on the deck, crank the table down into bottom dead center at respot height. Again, that is when these 3 points are in line. And then you're going to check something that's critical here. You want to make sure that none of the cups are going to hit any of the pins during respotting. If you look, you can see I have clearance there. And what I will actually do is I'll take the table and bounce it a little bit just to make sure it's not going to touch the pins, because you have to figure when the table runs, it is going to bounce a little bit. If you have cups touching the pins, you need to move the yoke back so the cup will tilt up a little bit and sit a little bit flatter. And to do that, you're going to go over here to the yoke leg again, and you need to lengthen this bolt. Now I have found that a quarter turn of this bolt out equals a quarter turn shortening the spot rod. So if you have to lengthen this bolt a quarter turn, you need to shorten the spot rod a quarter turn so it can make up for the difference of the new position of the yoke. Because the yoke is now going to be a little bit farther back than what the spot rod has originally been set to, and you need to shorten the spot rod to make up for that. So now, once you're happy with that and everything else checks out, now you can run the machine with pins and observe the spotting and the respotting. And actually at this point, you should be able to walk away. But because things do tend to settle a little bit, over the next couple days, keep an eye on it. You may have to make some fine-tuning adjustments, but after that, it should pretty much be done.